Question. So welcome back, everybody. And Chris, the first question is, what are your go-to mushrooms, and do all mushrooms have benefits for the brain?
Someone might have seen me with some mushrooms in my hand and go, that's a different looking mushroom. What does that mushroom do? Well, yes, there are different mushrooms and they have markedly different effects. And you have mushrooms that can take you on a journey. You can have mushrooms that can kill you, and you can have mushrooms that are really great for your immune system and are very anti-cancer. So you have different types of mushrooms, and I definitely recommend learning about them before trying any of them. Now, for me, my main interest in terms of mushrooms has been on the medicinal mushroom side. And this is where herbalism, specifically traditional Chinese medicine, has identified over thousands of years these particular herbs which have transformative effects on the brain, on the body, on the immune system, on longevity and healing disease. And I've been very fascinated with the realm of medicinal mushrooms, and that includes things like reishi, cordyceps, chaga. So these are not the mushrooms that are going to take you on a journey where you start seeing running bears on the streets. These are mushrooms that are going to gently and subtly enhance your mood, your well-being, and your energy levels. And you have different medicinal mushrooms that improve all kinds of things. So reishi, Ganoderma lucidum is one of the most well-known herbs, called the herb of immortality. Really great for anti-anxiety, for relaxing, calming your mind and spirit. So it's something that goes well with stimulants like coffee. You consume some reishi with your stimulant like coffee, so it has a nice stabilized effect. Medicinal mushrooms, these are things you can consume daily with little to no side effects at all. These are things that just improve the energies of the body. There's a new popular mushroom that's really starting to get popularity. It's called lion's mane mushroom. And this is a mushroom that's actually been shown to increase BDNF and nerve growth factors, literally the growth of new neurons, new myelin sheaths in the brain, and actually been shown to help dissolve Alzheimer's plaques. And for me, we had this whole lockdown thing. So at the beginning, we had no idea what we were up against. So I was like hell, I'm getting out of here, right? So I go up to the bush in my cottage, and then I go, well, you know what? I've been consuming all these, reishi and these different superfood products that I normally get at a health food store. Let me see if I can go out in the wild and find them myself. So lo and behold, I start going journeys in the forest, learn about different forests, and I start finding these medicinal mushrooms myself. So I'm the kind of guy, I like to actually experience everything inside and out meticulously and rigorously. So I found these things in the wild. I don't recommend going out and looking for this stuff in the wild without really knowing what you're doing, knowing what you're looking for. And then for sustainability, it's better to do commercial, just to get this stuff commercially, so you're not depleting the forests. So you have medicinal mushrooms, which are really for longevity, immune function. They're called medicinal mushrooms. Lion's mane specifically, this has been one of my go-to kind of supplements to help anti-Alzheimer's, brain longevity, improve memory, improve focus, is this lion's mane mushroom. There's lots of great extracts of lion's mane. So that's the realm of medicinal mushrooms. Then you have the realm of psychoactive mushrooms, which have been shown to have these really powerful properties in terms of helping to really reset the brain. Have shown some promise in terms of treating depression, treating, trauma, and helping the brain to basically rewire and reset. And this is actually something I actually haven't personally had much experience with, the kind of magic psychoactive medicinal mushrooms. The main reason being is I've had EEGs for over 10 years, and I've been able to train my brain to get in these states myself. So I really don't need a lot of these psychotropic, substances to get there. I've been able to train my brain to get there. So that's the main reason why I haven't. But there has been shown that through helping to reset some of the serotonergic systems, especially in the limbic system, the amygdala, that it's really helped to reset the brain to help people move through depression, trauma, etc. And really what happens there is we have these, really nasty experiences that happen, bad memories, and these really hardwire and set the brain, program the brain, especially the amygdala. And with depression and these problems, the brain gets stuck in a very tight model of reality, a tight model of thinking, tight model of remembering, tight model of feeling. And some of these substances can help really expand and open up the brain and help reset the brain neuroplastically. So, of course, they're not the only way you can do it. You can do through meditation, through hypnosis, through NLP. There's many ways to get to the same place. It's just people in society, they're so used to taking, things externally, taking a pill or taking a medication and taking a substance to change their brain, as opposed to just using their brain to change their brain. So, yeah, and there's mushrooms that can kill you too. So like anything, it can be the panacea, or it can wipe you out. So you really want to do your homework, do your research. The medicinal mushrooms, that's an area where I really focus on. I'm really passionate about.
Very cool. Slightly along from that similar topic, do you personally have any experience with the use of psychedelics to assist with PTSD, ADHD, etc.?
I actually have only tried them once with a few of my doctor's friends. And they went out in the streets to run and find the bears and the horses and stuff and the trees that were moving, jumping around. I simply just sat there and meditated the whole time to see if I could reach enlightenment. Now, I don't really know what enlightenment is, so I don't know whether I reached it or not. Probably not, but I tried. Now, in terms of the research and literature, yes, these psychoactive substances have shown some effectiveness. And the main reason why is they're very serotonergic. And basically, increasing serotonin markedly improves brain flexibility, neural flexibility. It basically just helps the mind to get out of its stuck patterns. And normally, our frontal lobes and our brain, our executive function networks, are like a filter. So they basically filter out all kinds of the external territory and sensory input, and focuses on a very small set. And this is where these psychoactive substances can help disinhibit the brain. So literally activate different parts of the brain, so our brain and our senses aren't as inhibited. So now they're more expansive, and it can create an experience to help reset and plastically rewire the brain to help someone move forward. But again, 100% not necessary, but can be an effective tool if that's something that resonates with you.
Very cool. And so, Chris, look, anyone that's had a look at your Instagram, and I'm sure a lot of people will be having a look if they haven't already, anyone that's followed you for a while, they've seen some pretty impressive shirt-off type activity. To put it bluntly, even your recent posts, the definition that you've achieved in your muscular physique is impressive, short of nothing. So what is your training regime, and how can older people like Orlando adapt it to themselves? Thank you, Rich, for the question.
I was wondering who wrote that question. I go, what do you mean older people like Orlando? This guy's a veritable stud. Look at this guy, right? Your brain's sharper than ever, bro. You're doing amazing. My personal training schedule, well, I'm very all or none type of guy, and I really believe in being the example. And it was 11 years ago. I was 19 years old. I had my anxiety, my panic attacks. I was 30 pounds underweight. I was hospitalized. My body was broken down. I was sick and tired of it. So that really got me interested in how can I rebuild my body and get myself a lot stronger. I also had, I was an athlete growing up too. I also had a career-ending back injury when I was 15, and there was no explained cause. So fitness and health, this is something I've always been into. And I actually ran my own personal training business while I was in school to help pay for school. So fitness has been something I've been dialed into. And I've gone through different stages where I focus on different things. I went through stages where I was focusing on martial arts. I went through a stage where I focused on powerlifting, weightlifting, getting as big and strong as I can. Just really out of curiosity to see what's possible. Recently, with this whole lockdown thing, I've been forced to do more weightlifting, body weight stuff, endurance stuff to just get kind of that lean, kind of shredded type physique. So for me, I mean, I train, for me, it's kind of like my therapy as well. Like it just gives me a chance to really, it's the whole martial arts thing. So my personal, my personal Instagram, that's just more work in the Instagram thing. I have my professional one. So I really encourage that you see both, please. It's just, we're playing a game and we got to change the game a little bit. We got to take people from where they are to where we want to take them. So I'm just saying I can play that game. For me, it's really just about myself, about brain health, mental health. And so I train 6 days a week. If I'm focusing on strength training, the intensity will be higher, the frequency will be less. So it'll be 4 or 5. For someone like you, Orlando, as a young strapping lad, the question is we're going to structure your training based on what's most important to you. Is it to just have a lot of energy, be healthy, and just increase your longevity? Is it to put on some muscle and mass and get a little more jacked? Is it to, just feel good? Like, what is the top priority? And we're going to go from there.
Yeah, look, absolutely, Chris. The recurring theme that I hear, whether it's health, nutrition, brain health, brain nutrition, NLP, hypnosis, Qigong, any of these areas of interest for you, all of them at the same time, as they're appropriate, are useful, however, specific to each individual. I really like that approach from you, that there is no one size fits all, because there is no double set of fingerprints out there. Everybody is different. And I really love that, Chris. It's really cool.
Yeah.
I've got a question here. Where are we next?
Let's give one example, Orlando. Let's give one example of that. So let's say, for example, you're a really busy guy. You're working with lots and lots of clients. You got the love life. You got a lot of responsibility. You don't have a lot of time for training, right? But you're pushing yourself mentally so hard because, doing the NLP work, doing the hypnosis work, like it is brain work for you as the practitioner, because you're working with them in real time. You got to do the techniques. Most people are skeptical as can be. God forbid they actually believe in themselves for once, right? So you got your work cut out for you, right? So for you, I would probably integrate, just a little piece in between work schedules. So let's say if you could segment your work into 2 periods, maybe get like a nice 40-minute chunk of exercise, do some full body movements, some pressing, some pulling, maybe a little bit of cardiovascular work, and just really focus it on keeping you healthy, keeping you lean, and keeping your brain and your mind fresh so that we can really excel in your work. So I think, that would be a pretty good strategy for the busy working practitioner.
Okay, and I'd absolutely agree with that, Chris. I mean, and I'm sure you can relate to what I'm about to say. The more in depth that I've gone into this work, and the more of this type of work using my brain that I do with other people in groups and individuals, the more I have noticed that if my physical health is reduced, then so is my mental performance. I can see a lower number of clients. And I begin to relate to, I get a lot of people asking me, well, how do I stop being empathetic with my clients? And when I actually go down to what that means, often it's, well, I saw 6 clients today and now I'm exhausted. And my answer to that is, well, there's probably a good reason for that. You've seen 6 clients today. Your brain is working double time when you're working with a client. And taking time out, again, the comment you said, taking more days off, taking time out to do physical exercise and to do stopping, and ensuring that you are maintaining your health before charging off to save the planet. I think these points here, everybody take them on board big time. They're well worth getting in front of rather than having to play catch up with. Tufan's asked me a couple of very cool questions that I'd like to pass in. The first one, of the many things that you have tried and experimented with, are there any that provided the biggest improvements?
Great question. And the answer to that is not to underestimate the fundamentals, the basics. You do the basics every single day, you're going to transform yourself and get these exponential results like you wouldn't believe. And you got to identify the key areas of you as a human being. You have the mental, how the brain mind interact, which influences absolutely every single thing. And you have to find an angle and methodology to optimize that. And this is the land of the NLP, the hypnosis, and any form of applied psychological intervention. Look, if I had the skills to control my anxiety so I could turn it on and turn it off, I probably wouldn't be doing what I'd be doing today. I'd probably be a stress to the brim kind of lawyer, corporate lawyer, making lots of money, not being happy. And then I have to go find myself and go to the Himalayas at some point in my life. You got to have some form of methodology to start to develop more control over your own brain and mind. And that could be via, the NLP, the hypnosis, mindfulness, because what's going to happen is we all have our own personal kryptonite. Every single one of us, doesn't matter how much of a superhero you think you are, we're a human being. We all have our strengths, we all have our weaknesses. And if you can identify what those weak points are in your chain that are holding you back, for me, it was the anxiety, it was the panic attacks. And you can learn skills, basic skills to control that and still perform, you're going to be able to do anything you put your mind to. And that's where there's a lot of talk about having the grit, the persistence, the willpower. You have to cultivate skill, right? I mean, I'll admit, I'm a triple type A determined machine, and I still got my butt handed to me by the anxiety and panic attacks. I still broke down. It wasn't for a lack of hard work, it was for a lack of skill. And you have to have some form of technology training so you can start to control your brain and mind better. Then if you can implement the basics to at least care for your body physically enough in terms of the exercise, in terms of what you eat, the environments you're in, just so that your machine can perform. And then the biggest thing is you got to find out what's going to light you up, what's going to get you just ridiculously passionate, ridiculously fired up to put in that work. And that's going to be unique to you, right? Because whatever you do, whether it's working with clients, I mean, people are so skeptical of themselves. There's so much stuff out there that doesn't work. There's so much crap. There's so much stuff being sold to them. Once you're working with a client, I mean, you got so much stuff you're working up against. You better be, it better be your passion to really help them. Otherwise, you're just not going to perform as well, and it's going to wear you down. So again, that's where a lot of things, if the clients are wearing you down, you really got to reconnect with what you're passionate with. So the answer to that is really implement the basics, the fundamentals each and every day. Don't underestimate it. I know everyone's out there looking for, hey, Orlando, can you teach me that special hypnosis NLP technique? I know you've been learning a lot of it. There's got to be one that's just going to magically poof, change my behavior, man. Can't you teach it to me? And Orlando's going to be like, you know what, man, I'd be happy to teach it with you. In fact, we can do it together, but I want to make sure you got those basics, fundamentals built in so that way you're every single day, these results are compounding.
Absolutely. So are there any benefits that you did not expect in your journey? That is, when you were aiming to do A and then, hello, benefit B popped up.
100%. This is a great metaphor for kids, for us in life. By taking one path that you think is the right path and just diving into it completely, taking all the options, choosing that one path and pursuing it, what's going to happen is when you take that one path and you succeed in it, all of a sudden, as you're going along that journey, you're going to have all these unexpected doors that you never imagined start popping up. And for me, I dove into the neuroscience, my brain work. Now, all of a sudden, I'm 28 years old, 27 years old, and I start getting these TV opportunities open up to me. I never thought about doing TV. Boom, and I start going for it. Then all of a sudden, I have this commercial work come in. Then all of a sudden, you have this other work that opens up just by choosing going one path, right? So this is where we all have our skills. What's one area of expertise, one area of your history, talents that you have that you can find an angle to move towards, move forward. And just by just narrowing it down, focusing on that one thing, all of a sudden on the other end, these other things are going to start to open up for you that you didn't expect. And as you're going along that path, you're going to find out, hey, you know what? I'm really good at this, but holy smokes, I didn't know that I need work on why. I really need to work on why. And you're going to find that out. And then you can go find the person who's best at Y. You go learn from, you add Y to your skills. So all of a sudden you're a new human being. That's why I keep changing, because I keep going, oh, wait a minute. Actually, I thought I was really good at this. I need work on that. And then I go and learn that. And then I add it in. It's like, whoa, he's like a new guy now. You know, it's constant. So this is where even for people's, kids, just find an area, choose an area, move forward to it. And then things are going to start to fan and open up on the other side.
So it begs the question, Tufan, I love this question, by the way. This is from Tufan. Again, these three questions. And this third one, really, I love it here. If you were to start your journey again with your knowledge, but not the skills, what would be the first you would focus on?
The most important skill, Orlando, is to have some form of technique or tools to be able to change and control your own brain state. That's it. We all have our own problems, whether it's anxiety, whether it's depression. You have to have some reliable skills so that way when you have a school test, when you have a speech, when you have a big date, that you have some form, whether it's a ritual, whether it's what you eat, whether it's what you think, whether it's some form of training for your brain or some mindfulness technique. You have to have some skill to be able to get your brain to perform the way it's capable of performing.
And with that in mind, with the journey you've been on and the skills that you've collected, which skill would you pursue first?
Well,
I'll let you away with it.
I would say, I'm going to say this. So the first skill is absolutely, something like NLP would be an amazing choice. One thing I might recommend just before the NLP would be memory, so that way you can remember the NLP that you've now learned as opposed to forgotten. So a little trick, this is what I did. When I switched to my degree in neuroscience, I spent hours working on developing my photographic memory. So that way I could read a neuroscience textbook and I literally could go back in my mind to any page and answer the questions. It just made sense to me. Biology, neuroscience, anatomy, even regurgitating history or a conversation you had with someone, it's all photographic memory. How can I remember what happened, replay it, get the information back, and retrieve it? So memory plus the NLP, that would be the first things. And then I would...
well, interestingly on that, Chris, I know that we're going to have, this is going to be the first, not the last session that we have. And I know that there are members of the audience here that already want to ask more questions about that. And interestingly, next week on the same meetup at 7 p.m. next Thursday, we've got Michelle Wozniak, who is the 2016 bronze medalist, speed reading and comprehension champion, and one of Tony Buzan's 3 master trainers in memory mapping in the world. So that's next week's guest that if you guys can remember to be here, then you'll learn a lot from that as well. Okay. What is your advice to a new coach who's in the process of setting up their business and looking to attract clients?
Great question. And so this is where 10 years ago, the market was pretty wide open. Today's market, it's very flooded and there's a lot of people and things vying for our attention. So you really have to find your angle, and you need to find what problems you can solve and really cultivate your skill set to solve that problem better than your competition, better than the other people out there. Because the best thing that's going to help get your business from base to a level where it's starting to reach a tipping point is just your success in helping people. And the more successful you can be in producing change, helping people solving their problems, the more they're going to talk and you're going to get referrals. So you really want to find out, A, what angle, what problem does your skill set and training lend you towards? And then B, what are you really passionate about? And then combine the two. And you may have to actually identify someone that you can go learn from who has the skills that, if you added to your arsenal, would be really a game changer for you. Right. And I'm looking at a pretty amazing practitioner right there. You know, his name's Orlando.
No, that's great advice, man. Um, What is the most powerful transformational tool that you would recommend for someone to invest in order to educate themselves?
Ooh, that's a big question, Orlando. I got a lot. There's like an arsenal of things that I'd be like, you have to learn this, you have to learn that, you have to learn that. The answer to the question is going to be unique for each person. Depends on A, if they have certain problems that they're trying to overcome, that will tell you what skills, or B, if you have certain results that you want. What I would do is identify someone on the planet who has the skills, the ability, the expertise to do what you want to do, and go directly and learn from them directly, get the skills directly from them, right? Because you can now with the internet, you can go on PubMed, you can get all these journals, you can research, you can get the intellectual information, but what you need is you're going to need the skills, and you have to identify who has those skills that you want, go study from them, model them, train with them, add those skills to your arsenal, and add it to your toolbox. It's like you're the superhero. You're not the technology. You're using the technology as one of your skills. And how you're going to use it is going to be unique to you, right? How Orlando does NLP, he's got the base technology, but how he's doing his own talent, skill, savvy, passion is going to come in, and it's going to be unique in his own craft. So that's the kind of fun thing is you can go learn a skill from someone and then find your own unique way. But there's just certain skills you need to learn, right? Like if you have anxiety or, performance anxiety, you have to learn some mental, psychological skills, some NLP skills to learn to control that. And learning with someone who knows how to do that can help you speed the process.
I want to know the answer to this as well. From when I was snooping around on Chris's website the other day, this piqued my attention, and I think it piqued Claire's attention. So here comes the question. On your website, it states brain-based persuasion masterclass. What is that?
Brain-based persuasion is all about, it's basically, my background degrees are in neuroscience and psychology. I've studied a lot of behavioral economics, a lot of NLP, a lot on the technology. Brain-based persuasion is an introductory class where you learn the foundational neuroscience, psychological principles, as well as an intro to some of the practical NLP and hypnosis techniques applied for A, changing and optimizing yourself, and then B, how do you go out, change and influence other people? And that can be for selling, can be for marketing, public speaking. And for me, I've tested myself everywhere, whether it's trade shows, whether it's seminars, whether it's speaking in academic conferences and dealing with doctors. How can you use these practical skills to be a more effective communicator and influence people's brains? Whether that's simply getting your kids to eat their broccoli, simply getting your spouse who maybe wants to start working out. Well, how can you communicate with them to get them working out? And it just gives you, it really just simplifies neuroscience, psychology, introduces people to NLP. It's an introductory, it's a 3-4-day course from a live seminar that I did. I had people who sell water in there, people who sell real estate, people who sell financial investments, and really all these skills tailored to influence and persuasion. So, for me, like my background in like neuroscience, psychology, like it's very, very deep and extensive. And for me, like on day 4, I cover 20 psychological principles that you can use to exert more persuasive effect over people. Things like, so let me ask you this, what is the biggest thing that influences how any item, person, or thing is interpreted and perceived? Whatever came before. So there's one thing called the contrast principle. So how any number is evaluated is going to be dependent upon what came before it. Now, when you go into a men's clothing store, does he show you the $20 pair of socks and the $50 belt first, or does he show you the $800 suit first? He shows you the $800 suit first. Now, once you've gone through the $800 suit, now all of a sudden the $100 sweater and all those things is going to seem like a lot less. And then there's the whole thing with human behavior. We're predictably irrational, right? We'll be going to buy, let's say, coffee machine. Coffee machines, $80. We see on our phone, oh my goodness, it's on sale for $65 at a store 20 minutes down the road. Most people will take the 20 minutes and go drive and buy the $65 thing. However, if there's a suit on sale for like $1,200, regular $2,000 or regular $1,500, a lot of people, they won't move. So there's a lot of these principles that people need to understand. And when you understand them, you can be a lot more persuasive. So
is that brain-based persuasion masterclass, is that something you're doing online or is that live?
That's something that's all pre-recorded. It's all online. It's like a video product. So, you know, you get the course and you have full access to it.
Okay, and that's on your website or something, and I'll share that through the group later on. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's on the website, and it's really tailored to anyone who's in sales, marketing, anyone who's growing a business, and especially for parents too, just working with the kids and, you know, learning how to communicate and be more persuasive and be able to connect with your kids and influence them. So it's a good starter course for sure.
Awesome. We'll jump back into the questions in the chat, which seem to be growing. So we've got about 15 minutes left, so we'll crack into some of these. Alfie's put a comment there again, back with Team Alfie. You said that when you were younger, there were no autistic children. Now there's 1 in 38. Do you feel this has a part to play? There is more research on autism and understanding of it.
Well, the answer to that is autism is a name given to a series and sets of symptoms and behavioral abnormalities across an entire spectrum. Now, is it simply the fact that more people are pointing out that was already there and giving a name to it? Or are we in fact observing completely new behavioral, cognitive, social imbalances that were not present 30 years ago? I think the answer is pretty simple. It's 100% the latter. So yes, we're testing more, we're identifying more, but also our kids, these are new phenomenon. And this is where something like Down syndrome has been around, and Down syndrome and actually autism are almost polar opposites in a lot of respects, where autism is hyperactivity, hyperstimulation of the brain causing premature wiring and the brain remains on. Down syndrome, there is, you know, excessive inhibitory activity and cognitive functions don't develop. So yes, there's a combination of the two, but there's without a doubt these phenomena emerging with increasing rate over the last 20, 30 years.
Fantastic. Now, I'm just going to very quickly, for those that are on speaker view, I'm just going to bring Alfie up onto the stage, as it were. Hey, Alfie, there he is again. Chris, I just wanted to take a moment and for everyone to meet Alfie. Alfie, could you just answer a question for me? Your knowledge about autism, obviously you're working with that. You put a note in the chat that you've used NLP on an autistic, non-verbal, with limited understanding of language client. And you use these skills to get a job. I just like everyone to be aware just how much training have you had in the field of NLP to be able to use these skills?
Oh, I've had very little, really, to be honest. Just picking up different bits from you, and then just sort of like having more one-to-one chats, and then doing a bit of research on myself.
So how many hours of training would you say you've had?
Oh, Orlando, your guess would be as good as mine. Not a lot. Not a lot, no.
10, 20?
Yeah, about 10. Sounds good.
About 10. So yeah. I just wanted to highlight, Chris, I'm very impressed with this young man, and I knew that he'd be interested in meeting you this evening with the work that he's doing, the work you've done. And it just highlights with, with 5 to 10 hours of learning or one-to-one interaction. Not all of that is training and course time, by the way. It's certainly not a practitioner. Alfie's taken that little bit of information and he's put it into practice immediately. And there's a correlation I see between Alfie and yourself, and that is I know you well enough, Chris, that you love to have every detail and research everything you can, but that's not going to stop you from using what works immediately. And I just, really wanted to take the moment to highlight what Alfie's been doing. And I will honor that by asking his next question, so you can answer it if you wish immediately. And I love this question because it hits straight between the eyes. I had a look at your Instagram. Are you natural, or do you take PEDS, SARM, steroids, or or are you on HRT? And I think it's a fair question.
I want to thank you, Alfie, and hats off to you, man. That's the way you do it, right? We learn, we apply skills. The real learning occurs when we get the feedback, when we apply this and we apply the theory. And if you have both, you're just going to accelerate past everyone, because a lot of people are either stuck in one area. So it's always good when you learn something that you think could be really valuable, apply it in as many areas as you can, so you get as much wide variety of feedback. In terms of the training, I get this compliment all the time. I literally take it as a compliment. I'm all about brain health, dude. I ain't taking nothing that's going to jeopardize my brain, my internal organs, or my longevity, or my hair, or my,
Hey.
So there's your answer, dude. 100% natural. I drink my chaga tea. I'm just dialed in, man. This is what I do. So I'm just pushing. I'm beginning. I'm not even close to scratching, pushing the boundaries of what I think our bodies can do naturally. So, I just train really hard, and I know a thing or two about how to kind of adjust the training, adjust the nutrition to get the results. So, always 100% natural. I'm a naturalist, dude. This is what I do. You guys see me. He's not running around grabbing reishi mushrooms and chaga in the forest. Dude, I'm all from nature, baby. I'm a man of nature. And I don't even think, I can't imagine a scenario where it would be necessary to do PEDs, because you can increase your body mass through nutrition, and you can get the weight. Like, I've been up to 225 and look bigger than a lot of guys who are taking steroids. And the main key difference you can tell through vasculature. People that are taking steroids, you'll notice their face change, right? The shoulders really change. You get these weird popping veins. For me, it's just, I'm a naturalist, so it's not really something I've thought about. And for me, it's all prioritize brain and mental performance and work from there. I just get a little carried away with things. I like optimizing things, Alfie. What can I say? And that includes myself. Man, hats off to you. Everyone has their own style. I like training hard. I like pushing my body. So, man, that's what I do.
And as Chris said earlier on, and I absolutely wholeheartedly agree with it, if you see a human being is capable of doing something you want to do, if they are capable of doing it and they're doing it, model what they're doing. Ask them questions, get to know them, and model what they are doing to get a similar result. And Alfie and anyone else out there, if you want the body, you're going to have to do the work, but there's a lot of other things that you can do along the way that are healthy for your body, your brain, your gut, your heart, for everything. So is that useful for you, Alfie?
Yeah.
Keep on keeping on. All righty. Okay. Question here from Lenny. Does Chris know about or have any experience with ARFID, Avoidant Restrictive Food Intake Disorder? Man, we're getting the whole alphabet here tonight.
Yeah, that's a long one. What is it?
Avoidant/restrictive food intake disorder. Have you come across that one? Lenny, do you want to explain what that means?
Food intake disorder. Orlando, I have a feeling this could be a case of making things a little more complex than. Okay. So what exactly?
What it is it's an ultra sensitivity to taste, texture, appearance, and smells of food. So it's essentially where somebody will, how can I explain it? It's where they'll basically go down the route of very, very bland food. They get full up really, really quickly. And it's something where, for instance, they don't recognize hunger pains. So, for instance, if they're very, very busy, they can literally carry on and they will not notice that they've had no fuel, versus somebody else who eats frequently would notice very, very quickly, you know, right, I've not had anything to eat, that's my main goal. With someone that's got this disorder, it's a bit like the mind blanks. And as I said, in terms of texture, a lot of foods, it's a bit like hypersensitivity with taste as well, you know, so it's quite a pain in the arse.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
You're eating it wrong.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I've worked with stuff like similar, just different names, and you know this stuff like is similar. Was that Lenny who asked the question?
Yeah.
A lot of people actually have this too for like drinking water and stuff, and like even have people like we get these funky kind of disorders and stuff where like people they won't have conscious awareness of like when they pee, for example, they'll pee their pants kind of thing. Like so, there's just that lack of unconscious signaling. When it comes to the hypersensitivity of the taste receptors and sensory input, like for me, just because my background is, you know, in neuroscience, like I would measure the brain and we'd probably see certain parts of the brain and brain maps oversensitized. So I would probably do some brain works to kind of modulate those. So that would be my angle of helping to balance that. If this is something like you personally experience, being able to work and power through without having to eat and focus on food all the time, that's actually a pretty cool thing. But you may want to just, you know, actually set an alarm, set a schedule for when you eat and have like periodic times. So you literally train your brain in your, like to literally be like a dog, to literally, this is when you eat, boom. And I'm kind of like that. Like I'll do all my work, I'll intermittent fast, I'll eat my lunch, I'll do some training, then I'll do some more work, and then I'll eat just a massive dinner. So the difference is I'm doing the same thing. Only thing is I remember to eat the massive dinner. So, you know, it's always for this stuff. It's interesting. There's always a brain component, a psychological component, and then there's just like a practical component kind of thing. Is this actually, are you speaking for yourself or a client that you have?
No, it's me.
Okay. What I would try is, because you might have a little bit of like some just certain maps in your brain, your somatosensory cortex might be a little overactivated. Like you can try before you eat, try running like, if you have brainwave entrainment, try running like 1 to 8 hertz, like delta or theta frequencies over in your brain. Like, so you get your brain really, really calm and then go and eat and see if it actually makes a difference.
It's actually something that I seem to have had since I was born. So it's not a case where there's been a particular trauma with food or anything like that. And I don't eat fruit, I don't eat vegetables, I never have done. And even as a child, my mother took me to the doctors and was like, I can't get her to eat anything. And the doctor said, she's perfectly healthy, don't make her. So I don't touch any of it at all. And it's something I would want to, but it's the taste, the texture and everything else. And it's actually, there's quite a lot of people that do actually have that disorder. It's a case of not knowing where to go with it.
Yeah. I mean, I would just out of curiosity, I'd be interested in mapping your brain just to see what is going on. But I would say this, Lenny, like if you can do some procedure, if it's like even a brainwave entrainment track, or maybe even a little hypnosis to get yourself into a much more relaxed state before, it should decrease that hypersensitivity. Just give it a try. Like maybe even try like doing a 5-minute mindfulness meditation before eating, see if it makes a difference. And then in terms of the not eating enough, just try timing it. Now, this would be a cool thing to teach with someone who has a drug addiction or smokes too much. I really wish I could teach them that. Orlando's writing this down. How do I teach what Lenny's brain does to someone who has an addiction? Because that would be very useful. So, that'd be kind of cool.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful. I'm just looking at where we're just bang on time at 9 o'clock here. I'm very respectful of your time, Chris. Have you got time for 2 quick questions? And they are both quick, but there's actually another 15 odd questions in the chat. So everyone's aware, I've already collected these questions, and Chris and I are going to meet and do another interview style format where I can ask him the questions that we haven't had time to get to tonight. And I'll be posting that on YouTube, and you'll be able to, that'll be available to all of you additionally from this evening. There's 2 questions, one that I wanted to come to because it was asked so long earlier from Pam. There was a question about what specifically changed the Vita Mocha. It's the Lovin Libido Mocha. It is an invention from Chris's mind. The Lovin Libido Mocha.
Hey, look, brain doesn't have to be boring, Orlando, okay? Like, we can be extra brain geeky without being boring.
Okay, now I will have that shared to all the group. I know, Chris, you made a small video on it a couple of years ago. We'll see if we can find that video. If not, we'll put something in together and we'll make that available to everybody with a bit of information about the benefits of it. Okay, so it is a drink, a morning drink that Chris made up, put together, and I trialed it, and he was the first guinea pig. Many others had used it, but very, very useful. Chris, there's one more question I want to ask.
It's on YouTube.
Huh?
It's on YouTube, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll find that and share that. This next question is something I hadn't thought about for a long time, but I've heard this question in New Zealand, Australia, Japan, the US, Canada, and now here in the UK and in Europe. And the question is, what is your view on fluoride in the water and in toothpaste, and does it have a bad effect on the brain and effective thinking, the effect of fluoride? What do you know about that?
Good question. Now, fluoride, part of the problem with fluoride is it's a dielectric blocker. So it kind of blocks and interferes with electrical and magnetic signaling, which, if it can get into structures like your pituitary, your pineal gland, and alter signaling there can be problems. So do I personally avoid fluoride? I personally do. And I'm quite happy with how my brain is working. That's part of the main problem with fluoride. It's a halogen, so it's in the same category as things like iodine. I encourage everyone to do more research on this, but the main problem, based on what I've learned and know about fluoride, is that it is a dielectric blocker. It can alter electrical and magnetic signaling, and depending upon who you talk to and what you believe, the quote-unquote third eye can sense and perceive magnetic fields. So if you alter magnetic signaling in the pineal gland, that's not necessarily a good thing. This is something I encourage everyone to learn more about. That's kind of the scientific explanation, as I know it, on fluoride.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris. And look, Chris, I really want to take this opportunity on behalf of myself and everyone from this group and the extra people that have joined us tonight. Thank you so much for 2 hours of your valuable time. I know there are going to be more questions. I know you and I are going to stay in touch for a long, long time. It's been an absolute pleasure from the day that we met. A hell of a lot of fun to be around. I cannot wait until we can all play out in the world again, so we can catch up in reality. This is an amazing experience that's here and available to us. And it's almost as amazing as actually being there, just not quite the same. So, Chris, thank you very much. Everyone, you're welcome to unmute your microphones, yell out a thank you, wave your hands, do whatever you want. Absolutely appreciate it, Martin. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you, guys.
Chris, I'll speak to you soon, everyone. I'll see you all next week.
Yes.
Bye.
Take care.
Thank you.
Orlando. Appreciate you, my friend. Appreciate you.
Thank you.